ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गणन्ति भूरिदा जनाः। Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're starting a new chapter today. This is chapter 36, the Master's Birthday. It's page 691, and the date is Sunday, February 22nd, 1885. It's almost a month after the earlier, it's almost 4 weeks, we can say. We don't know, maybe M was away at that time, but anyhow, this is the next entry that we have. And Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the northeast veranda outside his room at Dakshineswar. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. Many devotees, including Narendra, Rakal, Girish, Baburam, and Surendra, were present. They were celebrating the Master's birthday, which had fallen on the previous Monday. M arrived and saluted him. The Master signed to him to take a seat near him. Narottam was singing kirtan. Sri Ramakrishna was in partial ecstasy. The subject was Krishna's meeting with his cowherd friends in the meadow. Krishna had not yet arrived. The cowherd boys were restless for him. One of them said that Mother Yashoda was preventing Krishna from coming. Balai said in a determined voice that he would bring Krishna with the sound of his horn. Balai's love for Krishna knew no bounds. The music went on. Yeah, this is this Sakya Bhava. We don't hear so much about this. It's not as prominent as some of the other moods, but this is one of the five in the Vaishnava tradition, and it's always with regard to the other cowherd boys that would go and they would all graze their cattle together and just enjoy their company. So the cowherd boys and girls heard Krishna's flute and were filled with spiritual emotion. Suddenly, Sri Ramakrishna's eyes fell on Narendra, who was sitting very near him. He stood up and went into samadhi. He stood there, touching Narendra's knee with his foot. Regaining consciousness, he took his seat again. Narendra left the room. The music went on. Sri Ramakrishna whispered to Baburam, "There's kheer in the room. Give Narendra some." Did the master see Narendra as the embodiment of God? After the kirtan, Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room. Tenderly, he began to feed Narendra with sweets. It was Girish's belief that God himself had been born in the person of Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, Girish, he came later, of course, to Sri Ramakrishna, but within a very short time, he developed that very strong conviction. There were the ones who developed the conviction first were the householder and devotees, mostly Ram and Girish, and these are the two that we know of, especially. Girish to the master. Your ways are like Krishna's. He too pretended many things to his mother Yashoda. Master, true. It was because Krishna was an incarnation of God. See, there were times when Sri Ramakrishna would balk at the idea. Say someone would say, "No, I see you as Rama himself," and he'll say, "Never say anything like that. servant of the servant of the dust of your feet. Other times he'll half admit it, and then of course there'll be the rare occasions when he'll come right out and say, uh, "This is one of those times when he's not he's not finding anything wrong with what Giri said." Master, true. It was because Krishna was an incarnation of God. When God is born as a man, he acts that way. You see, Krishna easily lifted the hill of Govardhan with his hand, but he made Nanda believe that he found it very hard to carry a footstool. Girish, yes, sir, I've understood you now. Mr. Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch. It was about 11 o'clock. Ram and the other devotees wanted to dress him in a new cloth. We find this several times on his birthday. And one year they brought a yellow cloth. So sometimes we'll dress Thakur with the yellow cloth on his birthday. The master said, "No, no." Pointing to an English educated man, he said, "What will he say about it?" At the earnest request of the devotees, he said, "Well, since you insist, I shall have to agree." The devotees were arranging the master's meal in the room. He asked Narendra to sing. Narendra sang. "In dense darkness, O mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. Therefore the yogis meditate in a dark mountain cave. In the lap of boundless dark, on Mahanirvana's waves upborne, peace flows, serene and inexhaustible. Taking the form of the void, in the robe of darkness wrapped, who art thou, mother, seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi? From the lotus of thy fear-scattering feet flash thy love's lightnings. Thy spirit face shines forth with laughter terrible and loud." This, of course, was one of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite songs. And Narendra would sing it for him. He would also sing it. And would always put Ramakrishna in some type of ecstatic mood. This is the formless aspect of the mother. We think, how can we think of mother as formless? Mother is void. But this is that aspect. It's said that even Ram Prasad, towards the end of his life, his mind would go into that, to look upon the Divine Mother, that formless aspect.
Who wrote this song?
I don't know. When I spoke on meditation earlier, and I think I found the reference to the song, but I don't remember. Anybody? No. I think it's a Brahmo song. Tarayogyanat. Maybe. Yeah. So Tarayogyanat Sanyal. Yeah, I think so. As Narendra sang the line, "Who art thou, mother, seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi?" Sri Ramakrishna went into a deep Samadhi and lost all outer consciousness. After a long time, when he was regaining partial consciousness, the devotees seated him on the carpet and placed a plate of food before him. Still overcome with divine emotion, he began to eat the rice with both hands. Yeah, this, this of course, would look very, very odd to everyone. His left hand is not used for eating food, and you take both hands. Yeah, this chapter especially, it's not so much filled with different instructions and things, but this is the type of reading that is good for meditation and good for trying to imagine, to picture everything that's going on, picture how Sri Ramakrishna in this special mood. It's his birthday, and of course, to someone like Sri Ramakrishna, what is a birthday? But still, he had that boyish aspect to him, like a child. And the others made a big fuss, and he enjoyed it also. Still overcome with divine emotion, he began to eat the rice with both hands. He said to Bhavanath, "Feed me." Because, because of his ecstatic mood, he could not use his own right hand. Bhavanath began to feed him. We find another uh, slightly similar example when he sees Hazra doing japa with a japa mala, and he says, "Well, let me see if I can do it." And he takes it, and he says, "No, I can do a little with my left hand, not my right hand." So Bhavanath began to feed him. Sri Ramakrishna could eat very little. Ram said to him, "Nitya Gopal will eat from your plate." Now, we went through a little history of Nitya Gopal last time, but he also acted like a child. Sri Ramakrishna said he was the mood of the Paramahamsa, but also Paramahamsa is like a child. He used to identify both of them. The master, "Why from my plate? Why, Ram? Why not?" Nitya Gopal was also in an ecstatic mood. But Thakur said one time he achieved this state without doing sadhana. There's a natural thing, which meant that he could lose it also. Yeah. Some devotees from Konagar arrived by boat. They entered Sri Ramakrishna's room singing kirtan. Afterwards, they went out to take some refreshments. Narottam was in the room. I don't know who this Narottam was. He sings kirtan. So that was it. Not so much a devotee. They probably invited him to come. They would have meant very often either the officials at the temple would do it, or devotees would invite kirtaniya, one of these kirtan singers, to come and sing for Sri Ramakrishna. Narottam was in the room. The master said to him and the other devotees, "The music of the Konagar devotees was dull. Music should be so lively as to make everyone dance. One should sing a song like this. See how all Nodia is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love." And along with it, these lines, "Behold, the two brothers have come who weep while chanting Hari's name. The brothers who in return for blows offered to sinners Hari's love." Two brothers is Gauranga and Nityananda, though they weren't brothers, but they're considered like brothers. They were so close, companions. And these two, Gaur and Nitai, ye blessed brothers. Again, this is Gaur is Chaitanya Deva, and Nitai is Nityananda. "I've heard how kind you are, and therefore I have come to you." The devotees were taking the prasad. It was a sumptuous feast. The Sri Ramakrishna said to M, "Haven't you invited the Mukherjees?" This will probably be the two brothers, Priyanath and Mahendra. Ask Surendra to feed the musicians. Bipin Sharkar arrived. The devotees introduced him to the master. As Sri Ramakrishna sat up and said to the devotees, "Give him a seat and some betel leaf." He said to Bipin humbly, "I am sorry not to be able to talk to you. There's a great crowd today." Pointing to Girindra, Sri Ramakrishna said to Baburam, "Give him a carpet." There were two Girindras. The one was Surendra's brother, Surendra and Girindra. The other one, I don't know anything about him, but Thakur, he quotes him. He says that this Girindra used to say, "This give a twist, more fear to Yadao." They were two friends. Oh, young boy. Oh, then maybe it was the other one. Anyhow. Uh-huh. This is probably his brother. They probably came together. Surendra is also there. Nitya Gopal was sitting on the floor. The master asked the devotee to give him a carpet too. Physician Mahendra of Sinti arrived. The master, smiling, asked Rakal by a sign to have the physician examine his pulse. Examining the pulse is not what we think of as pulse. This would be for the humors, for the dosha, according to this Ayurvedic. Turning to Ramlal, the master said, "Be friendly with Girish Ghosh, then you will get a free ticket to the theater." See how quickly Thakur could go from being in samadhi and then be in ecstasy and hardly be able to do anything to just laughing and joking and playing. Yeah, like one of the devotees there. Narendra had been talking a long time with Hazara on the porch. Since his father's death, Narendra had been having financial worries, not just financial worries. This is a great understatement. The family was plunged into poverty overnight, and the relatives were trying to take away their property or at least divide it and everything, and they were in a terrible plight. Narendra had been talking a long time with Hazar on the porch. Since his father's death, Narendra had been having financial worries. So this was about a year earlier. He entered the room and took a seat. Master to Narendra, "Were you with Hazra? Both of you are in the same boat. You know the saying about two friends. You are away from your country and he is away from his beloved. Hazra too needs 1,500 rupees." Laughter. Yeah. The Hazra, he talked like he was the greatest jnani in the world, highest knowledge and everything, and showed off all the time doing his japa, and at the same time is trying to impress everybody, of course, but at the same time trying to get people to help him pay off his debt. I don't know. Did he do anything? Any work? He must have gotten some small stipend for being living in the temple. He's some type of temple worker there. Did he do puja? No. There were many who worked there who would just help with the storeroom and cleaning up and puja, things like that. He probably had some little duty, but not much. Hazara says, Narendra has acquired 100% sattva, though still there is him a pink glow of rajas. But I have 125% pure sattva. All that. This Narendra, he had the most curious collection of friends. The outcast people that Thakur himself didn't care for too much, and that people looked down upon. And he just had a soft spot for all of these characters. And he enjoyed the company of Hazrat. They would sit and talk for a long time. I say to Hazrat, "You indulge in reasoning only. That is why you are so dry." He retorts, "No, I am dry because I drink the nectar of the sun." Speaking of pure bhakti, I said to Hazrat, "A real devotee does not pray to God for money or riches." Hazrat replies, "When the flood of divine grace descends, the rivers overflow, and further, the pools and canals are filled. By the grace of God, one gets not only pure devotion, but also the 6 supernatural powers, and money too." Yeah, this is not such an uncommon theme that even Keshav, we read that during an earlier Durga Puja time, during this Navaratri, that M went to hear Keshav. He would give a different talk every day. And he also said, worshiping Mother Lakshmi with Saraswati Lakshmi, that you'll also get learning and wealth and other things. And then Thakur says, "Don't go here and there, just come here." Yeah. So he wasn't very happy with that idea. There's also this, I think they call prosperity Christianity. This movement within Christianity that, yeah, you become a good Christian and everything, that you'll also be prosperous, get money, become wealthy. Different traditions are there.
The Marwari is also modern. They are very fond of worshipping.
Yeah,
Also very prosperous.
yeah, they're prosperous. I don't know if they're worshiping, if they're praying for more money or
No,
anything.
money maybe.
I don't know, but they're prosperous. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. With, yeah, Thakur used to praise them also.
Yeah.
Uh, there's one Japanese tradition. This what is it, Namraho Gangikyo, something like that. Huh? Yeah, where they out and out say, you repeat this mantra, and you want a new job, you'll get a job. You want a refrigerator, you'll get a refrigerator. I once was kind of accosted by these people, and many years ago in San Francisco, and they took me to one of their meetings. I was just curious, and it was all about that, and how everybody stood up, and one by one they said, "Yes, I got this, I got that, and everything." Yeah. Otherwise, I think it's a nice tradition. It's a Buddhist part of the Buddhist tradition, but they emphasize it. So there's always this tendency. Why not be prosperous also? Of course, the Buddhist tradition, Hindu tradition, Christian tradition, they praise poverty. Yeah, this is somehow poverty and spirituality are seen to go together somehow. It's lack of interest in worldly enjoyment and things.
Jewish community in large Mara, they are uh, in Bengali they are called the Dakshi Saraswati Bhauputro.
Uh,
I mean, this is by and large they are mostly very
yeah,
learned and also
yeah,
prosperous.
yeah. Yeah, because they were kicked out from one country to another, so they were never farmers, or rarely. I mean, there were places when they settled for a long time, but otherwise they had to go to cities, and then they always became they placed a lot of emphasis on education and business. They became business. Narendra and many other devotees were seated on the floor. Girish entered the room and joined them. Master to Girish. I look on Narendra as Atman. I obey him. Now, this is interesting that he uses this term Atman. Very often he'll say, I look upon him as Purusha and myself as Prakriti. But he felt this special connection. Yeah, yeah. He had that with Rakal, who he looked upon as his spiritual son. But this was something even a little bit different, as if the two of them completed each other somehow. He looked upon Holy Mother that way also, but some special thing with Narendra. I obey him. Very interesting. When does he ever have to obey him? Giddies. Is there anyone you don't obey? Yeah, Thakur was so simple that if somebody said something, he would follow. That he gives a couple of examples. That one funny example that uh, he felt something. He was sitting in the outside. He felt something as if something stung him or bit him, and he didn't know what it was. Thought maybe it was a snake bite. So somebody saw him sitting out, and he said, "Why are you sitting there?" He said, "I think I was bit by a snake." Somebody said, "If you're bit again by the same snake, that it'll remove the venom." And then that person said, "No, it has to bite you in exactly the same spot." And he said, "Oh, then forget it." And then he said another time that who was it, Ramlal or Hazra, one of them, they said, if you breathe in the cool night air, very good for the health. So he's in a cabbage and he stuck his head out the whole time. And he said, then I felt sick. The guy caught a cold after that. But almost anything that people would suggest when he was ill, they would suggest all sorts of things. He would try it. It's very simple. Master smiling. He, meaning Narendra, he has a manly nature, and I have the nature of a woman. He is a noble soul and belongs to the realm of the indivisible Brahman. Girish went out to have a smoke. Now, Girish is another one that he and Narendra became fast friends. Yeah, Narendra somehow he became friends with the older people equally. There was no age thing with him. Yeah, he could treat everybody like an equal, and they also felt that way. And Sri Ramakrishna, I think Sri Ramakrishna had some type of ambivalence. He would ask him, "Do you go there very often to Giris's place?" And I think on the one hand, he liked it because Giris would always talk about Sri Ramakrishna, and he had tremendous faith that he was the avatar. On the other hand, he knew that Giris led such a worldly life. So it seemed like there was a little bit of ambivalence with all of that. Narendra to the master. I had a talk with Girish Ghosh. He is indeed a great man. We talked about you. So then Thakur will be happy, of course. Master, what did you say about me? Narendra, that you are literate and we are scholars. Oh, we talked in that vein. Laughter. Yeah, how free they were to talk to Thakur that way. Mani Malik to the master. You have become a pundit without reading a book. Master to Narendra and the others. Let me tell you this, really and truly, I don't feel sorry in the least that I haven't read Vedanta or the other scriptures. Of course, he attended so many of these different, just even as a boy, and we know he remembered everything. That the Laha family had a little rest house and a feeding place for sadhus who would pass through the village. And as a boy, he would go. There was a time when he would go every day, spend time there with the different sadhus, and they would be holding discussions on the Vedanta and all sorts of things. So we heard all of that. And then whenever in Dakshineswar, whenever there were any these pundits or scholars who did some readings and discussions of things, he would attend all of these things. And we know he had a very good familiarity with Adhyatma Ramayana, with the Ashtavakra Samhita, Gita, of course, the Upanishads. So he must have heard. Very often he would say, "No, I haven't read anything, but how much I've heard." He would often say that. I don't feel sorry in the least that I haven't read the Vedanta or the other scriptures. I know that the essence of the Vedanta is that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. When Thakur says Vedanta, he generally means Upanishads and the path of knowledge. And when he says Puranas, he means the path of devotion. This is the kind of code language that he used to use. He wouldn't say Jnana, the Jnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. He would say it according to Vedanta, according to Puranas. That was very common with him. And what is the essence of the Gita? It is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. That's, of course, he heard from Totapuri. Then it is reversed into Tagi, which means renunciation. The pupil should hear the essence of the scriptures from the Guru. Then he should practice austerity and devotions. A man needs the letter he has received from home as long as he has not learnt its contents. After reading it, however, he sets out to get the things he has been asked to send. Likewise, what need is there of the scriptures if you know their essence? The next thing is the practice of spiritual discipline. Yeah, now people ask, why are we constantly going through scriptures over and over and over again? In Gita, most of us, the sadhus, very often they'll read every day some Gita. We see Swami Turiyanand, how much joy he got from reading the Upanishads throughout his whole lifetime. Yeah, Thakur's point is not that we should stop reading, but we should start practicing. If we get inspiration from reading it, we should do it. If we get clarity, we should do it. And the degree to which we understand these things is very limited. So we have to try to sharpen our understanding. And but if we wait until we have that type of understanding before doing spiritual practice, or if we do this instead of spiritual practice, then we won't get the full benefit of all of it. It's good to do both. A little, some study, use the brain a little bit. Otherwise, what will we do with our time? Yeah. And then do our meditation and jump in devotional practices. Girish entered the room. Yeah, see, all of this time they're going in and out of the room. They're having a smoke. They're chatting on the outside. It's a full day. They're not going to sit there the all time. And they're having their food, and then afterwards they'll go and rinse the mouth, do all sorts of things. Have a smoke. Girish entered the room. Master to Girish. Hello. What were you saying about me? I eat, drink, and make merry, referring to the conversation. So he and Narendra were just talking to each other. Girish, what should we have been saying about you? Are you a holy man? Yeah, now, again, uh, half teasing him, but also this is respectfully saying, we know that you're not just an ordinary sadhu like anybody else. Are you a holy man, Master? No, nothing of the sort. Truly, I do not feel I am a holy man. See, just earlier, he's half admitting he's an avatar. Girish, I am not your equal even in joking. Master, I once went to Joy Gopal Sen's garden house wearing a red bordered cloth. Keshav was there. Looking at the red borders, Keshav said, what is this? Such a flash of color today. Such a display of red borders. I said, I have to cast a spell on Keshav, hence this display. Narendra was going to sing again as Ramakrishna asked M to take down the tanpura from the wall. Narendra was a long time tuning it. Yeah, he would take his time with these things. Also, tabla, he would take his time tuning it. The master and the devotees became impatient. Vinod said, he will tune it today and sing another day. Laughter. And Sri Ramakrishna laughed. He said, I feel like breaking the tanpura to pieces. What is this? Only dong, dong. Then he will practice. Tananana nerenum. Thakur imitating the sound of the tanpura. Bhavanat. Everybody feels annoyed like this before a musical performance begins. Narendra is still tuning. If you don't understand it, Master smiling there, he explains away our complaints. Narendra began to say, now one thing about Swamiji, he doesn't take any of these things personally. Yeah. There's another time when Thakur really kind of scolds him. And Narendra says, I have to go now. And he says, oh, you're too busy for us. We know that, this and that. And then he says, okay, I'll sing a little. Yeah. It's interesting. Narendra sang, O mother, thou my inner guide, ever awake within my heart. Day and night thou holdest me in thy lap. Why dost thou show such tenderness to this unworthy child of thine? Then he sang, O my lute of a single string. Sing the Blessed Mother's name, for she is the solace of my soul. And again, now he sang this song earlier. Again, in dense darkness, O Mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. Therefore the yogis meditate in a dark mountain cave. So Thakur again, he'll go into ecstasy. It's almost a certainty when he hears this song. In an ecstatic mood, Sri Ramakrishna came down and sat by Narendra's side. He began to talk, still in ecstasy. Master, shall I sing? Fie, to Nitya Gopal. What do you say? One should listen to singing to awaken the inner spirit. Nothing matters afterwards. He has kindled the fire, that is nice. Now all is silence. That's nice too. I am silent, you be silent too. The thing is to dive into the elixir of bliss. Shall I sing? Well, I may. Water is water, whether it is still or in waves. Narendra was seated near the master. He was constantly worried about his financial difficulties at home. He was now 23 years old. He's 23. His brothers or quite a bit younger, not old enough to look for a job. Everything depends upon him. And here he's torn. He knows Thakur wants him to renounce the world, and he's got to try to earn something. He's also in the middle of his studies. He's trying to get a future law degree, so it's very, very difficult for him this period. And some of his friends turned away from him. Very few came to help, and rumors started, and then people believed bad things about him. So that was also very, very painful for him. And Sri Ramakrishna looked at him intently. Master, to Narendra, smiling. Undoubtedly you are Ka. Ka is a word for Akasha. It means space, ether, infinite, absolute space. Now again, he's teasing him. But you have to worry about taxes. That's the trouble. By taxes, the master meant Narendra's financial difficulties at home. Now, there's a story behind all of this. Master, Krishna Kishore used to say that he was Ka. Krishna Kishore was another one of the early ones who came to Sri Ramakrishna. He was also a highly devout, a very pious spiritual seeker, and Thakur liked him very much and would visit him in his home quite often. One day I visited him at his home and found him worried. He wouldn't talk to me freely. I asked him, "What's the matter? Why are you brooding like this?" Krishna Kishore said, "The tax collector came today. He said my pots and pans would be sold at auction if I didn't pay my taxes. That's what I'm worrying about." I laughed and said, "How was that? You were surely Ka, the Akasha, that the rascals take away your pots and pans. What is that to you?" Again, teasing, but he had a family, he had his wife, and he had to look after them and everything. To Narendra, so I'm saying that you are Ka. Why are you so worried? Don't you know that Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, if you have one of the 8 siddhis, you may get a little power, but you will not realize me. By siddhis, one may acquire powers, strength, money, and such things, but not God. Let me tell you something else. Go beyond knowledge and ignorance. People say that such and such a one is a jnani, but in reality it is not so. This going beyond knowledge and ignorance is a little bit of a strange concept, a little difficult to understand. We're trying to get knowledge. And it's not that we go beyond knowledge and ignorance together. Thakur's idea was that we have to eliminate ignorance with knowledge and then go beyond both, the 2 thorns. So this knowledge, there are 2 things about it. One, it's still on the mind level, that we want to go to the heart level. We want to go to the direct experience level, not through the mind, but direct experience. And the second thing is that it's still within the realm of duality. And this knowledge very often, it's one of the practices of Advaita Vedanta, and at the same time, it's perfectly dualistic in the sense that we're always distinguishing between what is real and what is unreal. We're distinguishing between what is eternal and what is transitory, distinguishing between what belongs to the realm of Maya, what belongs to Brahman, what is the self, what is the non-self. So it has this level of duality to it, which ultimately is transcended. It's not the philosophy of duality, but it accepts the fact that through Maya that we perceive this world of duality, and we get entangled in it, and we have to separate somehow like that. For Sri Ramakrishna, this path of vichara, this analysis, is preliminary. When he says this idea, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, this is not a final truth for him. This is something that he says at the time of sadhana, that we practice this, that we try to look upon this world as unreal, it's transitory, it's changing. We look upon ourselves, I'm not this mind, I'm not this body, in order to get to the essential level. Then, when we know the real nature of the self, we merge in that. Then we go beyond all of this. Coming back down, he says, then we see everything as the manifestation of the divine, manifestation of Brahman that way. Then, so it's a thorn. It's also belongs to the relative world and to Maya, but it's necessary to get rid of the first thorn of ignorance. We can't just say that if I have a thorn in my foot, I'm not going to use another thorn because it's also a thorn. Then we're stuck with the thorn in our foot. We have to utilize the other one. This is a Vidya Maya to get rid of the first one. Then we can go beyond both. So let me tell you something else. Go beyond knowledge and ignorance. People say that such and such a one is a jnani, but in reality it is not so. Vasishta was a great jnani, but even he was stricken with grief on account of the death of his sons. So if it means the knowledge of a pandit, if it means intellectual knowledge, even if it's good understanding of it, we have some great pandits who really know these Vedantic concepts and these very difficult truths of Vedanta, but it won't translate into their lives. So Vasishta was a great jnani, but even he was stricken with grief on account of the death of his sons. At this, Lakshmana said to Rama, "This is amazing, Rama. Even Vasishta is so grief-stricken." Rama said, "Brother, he who has knowledge has ignorance as well. He who is aware of light is also aware of darkness. He who knows good also knows bad. He who knows happiness also knows misery." Brother, go beyond duality, beyond pleasure and pain, beyond knowledge and ignorance. Yeah. But we have to remember again, we go beyond ignorance through knowledge. We go beyond knowledge through experience, direct experience. To Narendra. So I'm asking you to go beyond both knowledge and ignorance. As Ramakrishna went back to his small couch, the devotees were seated on the floor. Surendra sat by his side. The master cast an affectionate look on him and began to give him advice. Surendra, there were several, I don't quite understand. Surendra, Ram, and Balaram. They were all very, very generous and at the same time a little miserly, according to Sri Ramakrishna. How he would tease Balaram. This is the way it gets done at his house. And Ram and Surendra also. He himself used to say that some people can easily give money, some it hurts them to give away a paisa. But they were all very generous. In Balaram's case, it was because he was on a stipend and constantly criticized by his brother and his father and everything for spending too much money. If it had been up to him, he would have given everything away to Sri Ramakrishna. But he was very generous. And this Surendra, generous to a fault, that means that if anybody else tried to help out, he would be a little offended. He spent most of the cost of the Kashipur garden house was his. And then Baranagamat, how they used to say, blessed is Surendra, that he was the one responsible for the first monastery of the order and everything. So Thakur would praise him, but he was very sensitive also. Once he bought a very expensive mala for Thakur, and Thakur just threw it aside and said, "What does he understand of an expensive thing like this?" He got a little offended and everything. So he's very sensitive, Surendra, but very generous as well. And there were a whole group of them who also liked to drink and had problems with. Yeah, that was a bit of product of the time that the British introduced all these taverns on the street corners and everything, and it was something that many weren't accustomed to earlier.
The surprising one, Ram was very rich.
Ram was well-to-do, yes.
But he did not help.
He did not help, as far as we know, he didn't help Narendra, who was his nephew. I also wonder about that. I What's that? Because he was, and that's why he was rich. Yeah, yeah. Wealthy people don't like to part with their money, but yes, yeah. Or even Surendra, there were so many of them that had. Well, one thing was that Narendra, he would not stretch his hand out to anybody. He didn't. In fact, when M had to give money very secretly, and he said if he found out, he would get very angry. He didn't like anybody to do it as charity towards the family. So maybe Ram offered, and he said, "No, we don't know. We don't know. We just don't know it all." But I also wondered about Ram actually grew up his childhood in the same house, yeah, as Swamiji. So of course Swamiji was younger. He was just a boy at that time, but he was so close, not just a distant relative or anything. Yeah. Master to Surendra. Come here every now and then. Nangta, that's Totupuri, used to say that a brass pot must be polished every day, otherwise it gets stained. This Surendra had tremendous devotion for Sri Ramakrishna also. He was another one of the great householder devotees. One should constantly live in the company of holy men. Now, this Surendra, he was also a worldly person. See, there were many of them like that they had developed these habits before meeting Sri Ramakrishna, that they enjoyed a little drink, parties, and things like that. And they were married people. So they Thakur doesn't expect them to follow the same type of strict renunciation that the future monastics are supposed to. So he says the renunciation of, now this is our famous phrase, comedy content. Usually we don't say woman in gold, but here he really means that the sannyasin will not marry, will not have anything to do with any relations with the woman. But he says the renunciation of woman of gold is for sannyasis, it is not for you. So the householder devotees who read this gospel sometimes get very confused. There's so much of this emphasis. They said we're married people. Should we try to live like monks and nuns and everything? So we have to remember that Thakur, even to M, sometimes he's very strict with M. Other times he says, you go home and have a little fun with your wife. Even to Rakal, he said it one time. So he's saying that this absolute renunciation like that is only for monks. It is not for householders. And he says, but now and then you should go into solitude and call on God with a yearning heart. Your renunciation should be mental. So this mental renunciation, that means we have a house, we're not attached to it. We have our money, we're not attached to it. We have our position, our job, and all of that. We're not attached to it. We don't place that much importance to it. That if we lose it, we don't mind. That it's not our main goal in life. That we practice this internal renunciation. Now, the monk, if the monk is only external renunciation and not internal renunciation, then it's just a sham. So this internal renunciation is the essential thing for everybody, whether a householder or for a monk. That's the essential thing. And the internal renunciation is renunciation of ego. It's a renunciation of pride, renunciation of attachment, renunciation of this desire for praise and name and fame and all these, renunciation of all these things. But the householder will have his job, will have his family, will have the wife and husband and children, and will be a part of society and have to play the role that way. But with detachment is the main thing. Unless a devotee is of the heroic type, he cannot pay attention to both God and the world. So very often he says to him, be a great hero. The householder has to be a great hero. Why? Because they're in the midst of all these temptations. Sannyasin in those days would remove himself from society. That they'll either be wandering someplace or they'll be in some monastery, some ashram where they won't see the face of a woman, so there's no temptation there. Here, Sometimes he says that a householder is like living in a fort. It's a great help, but other times it's not. They're in the midst of the battle, and they have to maintain this type of detachment. So unless a devotee is of the heroic type, he cannot pay attention to both God and the world. King Janaka lived a householder's life only after attaining perfection through austerity and prayer. Now we read constantly, Gita even, that King Janaka, he attained perfection through karma alone, through responsibility, through detached fulfillment of duties of running a whole kingdom. That's Ramakrishna always said, but he couldn't do that unless he had practiced austerities. That he had to go into solitude, he had to do prayer and meditation and everything to develop that real type of detachment. Otherwise, if we just try without doing any spiritual practice to be detached in the midst of our worldly duties, it's very difficult. The world will intrude. King Janaka lived a householder's life only after attaining perfection through austerity and prayer. He fenced with two swords. Now, this is the way Thakur would introduce a song. It's a very common thing for him. He fenced with two swords, the one of knowledge and the other of action, the master sang. This very world is a mansion of mirth. Here I can eat, here drink and make merry. Janaka's might was unsurpassed. What did he lack of the world or the spirit? Holding to one as well as to the other, he drank his milk from a brimming cup. Yeah, Thakur liked this song very much. There was the Ram Prasad song, that this world is a framework of illusion, and then this was the answer song. This one Goswami from the village, he would follow Ram Prasad and tease him and make fun of him. Ram Prasad would compose a song, he would compose the opposite song. What was his name? Aju Goswami. Yeah, he wrote beautiful songs, and Thakur loved it. Yeah, so probably they were kind of friendly. Also, it was just a kind of friendly rivalry, you could say. But yeah, he wrote this, and Thakur loved this song. Master, for you, as Chaitanya said, the disciplines to be practiced are kindness to living beings. Now he's talking to the Surendra. So this is for the householders in general, we can say, but for everybody. As Chaitanya said, the disciplines to be practiced are kindness to living beings, Jivedaya, service to the devotees, Vaishnava Seva, and chanting the name of God, the Nam Sankirtan or Namiruchi, to Surendra. Why do I say all this to you? You work in a merchant's office. I say this to you because you have many duties to perform there. Yeah, this is a very important section that comes up. One of the few times that Sri Ramakrishna talks about the importance of being charitable. He doesn't get into this very much. We don't find him telling people that you should give money in charity. A few exceptions. Telling someone you dig a tank in this area, do something like that. It's one of the few times, but it's very, very important. Why do I say this to you? You work in a merchant's office. I say this to you because you have many duties to perform there. He must have had some big position. He made good money. You tell lies at the office. No, he's not saying that you have bad character, you're a liar. He's saying people working in an office have to. Yeah, this is part of what it means. Even for Sri Ramakrishna, even you buy something at a low price and you sell it at a high price, you make a little profit. Even that's telling a lie. But it's the way business works. So he's not really condemning him for this. But he's saying that I know that this is how things work. You work in an office like that, there's no choice. You tell lies at the office. Then why do I eat the food you offer me? He couldn't eat the food that the Marwaris. I don't want to single them out because he also praised them very much. But again, it was this profit and loss business that they're selling things for more than they paid for them, something like that. So he couldn't take their food. He wouldn't let the other devotees take it. He would save it for Narendra. Yeah, he's a burning fire. He can burn up all of this stuff. How much faith Thakur had in him. Then why do I eat the food you offer me? So he made an exception with him. Of course, he made many exceptions. Ram was a physician. He ate the food at his house. There would be others also. Girish, he ate the food at his house. Why do I eat the food you offer me? Because you give your money in charity. You give away more than you earn. The seed of the melon is bigger than the fruit, as the saying goes. I cannot eat anything offered by miserly people. Their wealth is squandered in these ways. First, litigation. Second, thieves and robbers. Third, physicians. Fourth, their wicked children's extravagance. It is like that. Your giving money away in charity is very good. Now, we're going to get one of many, many illustrations of farmers bringing water to the field. We have so many different illustrations. They're so helpful, all of them, because Thakur observed these things when he was a boy. This is how they would water the paddy fields and everything at that time. Your giving money away in charity is very good. Those who have money should give in charity. The miser's wealth is spirited away, but the money of the charitable person is saved. He spends it for a righteous purpose. At Kamarpukur, I've seen the farmers cutting channels to irrigate their fields. Sometimes the water rushes in with such force that the ridges around the fields are washed away and the crops are destroyed. For this reason, the farmers make holes here and there in the ridges. Now, Thakur will give the same illustration sometimes that if the holes are too big, these are like desires, and all of the water will go, none of it will reach the field. This is just the right amount of water. This is very interesting. Sometimes the water rushes in with such force that the ridges around the fields are washed away and the crops are destroyed. For this reason, the farmers make holes here and there in the ridges. Since the water escapes through the holes, the ridges are not destroyed by the rush of the water. Now, that's not all that happens. This is the second interesting part. Furthermore, the escaping water deposits soft clay in the fields, which increases their fertility and gives a richer crop. So double value to this. It's allowing the water to get to the field and also fertilizing, irrigating the neighboring land. He who gives away in charity achieves great results. He achieves the four fruits, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. The devotees listened with great attention to Sri Ramakrishna's words. Surendra, I cannot meditate well. He wasn't a meditative type of person at all. He was an active type of person, but very devoted to Divine Mother also. And the Mother Kali, Durga Puja, we know that he would have it at his home. And, but to sit quietly for meditation wasn't his nature. I cannot meditate well. I repeat the Divine Mother's name now and then. Lying in bed, I repeat her name and fall asleep. Master, that is enough. Now, he won't say that to everybody. Yeah. If his future monastic disciples said that to him, he said, no, you have to strive, work hard. But he knows the nature of this Surendra. For him, it's enough. He says, that is enough. You remember her, don't you? There are two kinds of yoga, mano yoga and karma yoga. Now, we generally say four types. This mano yoga, manas, this will include jnana yoga and raja yoga. And this karma yoga will include karma yoga and bhakti yoga. So we can divide it that way. To perform, following the Guru's instructions, such pious acts as worship, pilgrimage, and service to living beings is called karma yoga. So it's including worship, so it'll be the little bhakti element will be there. The duties that Janaka performed are also called the karma yoga. So Sri Ramakrishna very often, these are things that we have to, if we want to understand what Thakur means, we have to know the code words for him. Very often, karma yoga meant ritual, performance of ritual, Vedic ritual even, and he doesn't put much emphasis on it. Here he'll say the duties that Janaka performed are also called karma yoga. So that to perform everything as an offering, that of course is fine. When he's criticizing karma yoga, it's usually this other sense, and I won't say criticizing, but when he's downplaying it a little bit, that it's this other sense of too much formalistic ritual type of worship. The meditation and contemplation of the yogis is called mano yoga. So meditation and contemplation will be Raja Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Sometimes I say to myself in the Kali temple, "Oh mother, the mind is nothing but yourself." Now, this is also, uh, we hear so much about the mind being an instrument and the mind being just the instrument that will reflect consciousness. This is just another way of looking at the whole thing. It's not these things shouldn't be taken as philosophical uh, distinctions or contradictions or anything, but Thakur like this idea. Look upon the mind as just consciousness itself broken out into the surface level of consciousness. So here we can, because we identify with the mind so much. We identify with the mind, we want to identify with the divine. We can say that the mother, you are also this mind. So this is very beautiful way of understanding this. Sometimes I say to myself in the Kali temple, "Oh mother, the mind is nothing but yourself. Therefore, pure mind, pure buddhi, and pure atman are one and the same thing." So let this wave of the mind, let it become pure, let it merge into this ocean, become one with it. And then is one with the Brahman itself. It was about dusk. Many of the devotees saluted Sri Ramakrishna and started to go home. The master went to the west porch. Bhavanath and M were with him. Okay, this is a good place to stop. So we're stopping now at the top of page 697. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukam Bhathuradavikraham Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namah. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Okay, thank you everyone, and we will see you next time.